Use Twisting Blades. That's the secret. This ability is ridiculously overtuned. I've seen a lot of rogue class guides all over the place explaining all the abilities, and honestly they're just like a complete waste of time. These people haven't actually developed a build or know what's good. They're just like showing off what you can do, and nobody wants to know that. They want to know what's good. Yesterday when the beta opened, I sat down and played rogue for 14 to 16 hours straight. I'm not really sure. Some people say that they respec like 4 or 5 times. I respec like 5 times a level. It's pretty free whenever you're low level. If you're below level 10, it costs nothing. I just kept respecking. Every 10 seconds I would respec. I tried everything. And from what I've seen, nothing even comes close to this overpowered level 25 build, and everybody seems to eventually develop into this build. From what I've seen from streamers, they kind of just end up with a flurry build or a Twisting Blades build in the end. There's only really 3 good legendary affixes that affect your core abilities, and they're Piercing Shot, Twisting Blades, and Flurry. Hopefully more get added, but if they don't, we're going to be running the Twisting Blades build, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now and makes you feel like a 20-0 Zed from League of Legends. The 2 most important things for it are the legendary affix for Twisting Blades, which cause the blades to orbit you for a short time after they return to you, which also drastically elongates and twists the animation of them returning to you. And the second thing is the Consuming Shadows talent node on the imbuement tree, which gives you 10, 20, or 30 energy whenever you kill stuff with shadow damage. The build basically just abuses the CDR from the second branch node of Twisting Blades to lower the 9-second cooldown of shadow imbuement to 3 seconds to convert all the Twisting Blades damage to shadow damage, so you get flooded with energy when you kill stuff and also make everything vulnerable. So I'm pressing shadow imbuement, doing 2 Twisting Blades on the first mob, and then dashing through it so that when the Twisting Blades return to me, they cut through all the mobs and make them explode. For the most part, people don't really know how Twisting Blades works yet, or how weirdly high the damage is. It's kind of similar to Ambush from a WoW rogue. It's just supposed to be overtuned. It does way too much damage on purpose. Now, all of that is great for fighting tons of enemies, but what if you're fighting a boss? Well, that's easy. You just take the Inner Sight talent instead of the combo point one, and then the boss is just going to keep getting the Inner Sight target, and then you just never run out of energy and spam Twisting Blades, and you do a ridiculous amount of damage and kill even the hardest bosses in like 30 seconds. It's kind of insane. This is also going to flood you with CDR so you can spam whatever other abilities you want. I don't even really use half my abilities. You could swap out like 3 of them with just anything that you want. Shadow Clone is probably the best ultimate, but it does physical damage, and I just didn't like that, so I used Death Trap instead. You could also use Concealment or Shadow Step or Dark Shroud. Concealment is really good when you're by yourself because the mobs just stand there whenever you go invisible. So that's the level 25 build. It might look similar to Endgame, but honestly probably not. Hopefully they add way more stuff because it's really bare bones at the moment. But this isn't going to affect you whenever you first enter the game at all, and so I'm going to get into that real quick. D4 does a horrific job of letting you know how things work in relation to other things, or even just how things are going to work in general, so I recommend if you're under level 10, just respec all the time. Every single time that you can, every 2 seconds, just respec, especially if you're by yourself. Just sit there and respec and try every single ability, every combination of abilities. A Cutthroat ability is not just a melee ability, it also means you're going to use your melee weapons when you cast that ability. And the same thing with the Marksman ability, it's not just a ranged ability, it also uses your ranged weapon. So keep in mind if you have a horrible melee weapon and you're using a melee ability, it's going to use that horrible weapon. Which at low levels, whenever you pretty much just only have really slow crossbows, that means all of the Marksman abilities are extremely slow. They're going to take you like 4 seconds to cast. It's ridiculously bad. I can't believe how bad and frustrating it was. Like, even just trying to use these abilities on one thing right in front of you, it's so slow. It's like loading up a cannon, then you have to wait like 2 or 3 seconds for it to go off. It's horrible. Things can jump right next to you and load up an attack and hit you while you're still doing one attack on it. And whenever you get hit, your attack will be canceled because there's a little bit of recoil. It's so insanely slow and clunky, which is not what you would expect from a rogue. That's why everybody's playing melee rogue, and if you watch a stream or anything like that, everybody's melee or at least some kind of hybrid, because the ranged abilities are just really slow unless we have a bunch of attack speed. They're unusable. Bows are slightly faster than crossbows, and there's no guns in the game. Weapon types always have the same stat on them, so like crossbows will always have vulnerable damage increase, and bows will always give more damage to far away enemies. As far as your basic starter abilities, they're pretty bad. You just kind of don't use them in the end game, but early game you're going to use them a lot. Blade Shift is just bad. Everybody agrees. The 2 bottom ones are Marksman abilities, and they're just also going to be really slow at the beginning of the game. Highly recommend Invigorating Strike or Puncture, because those abilities actually work. Invigorating Strike increases your energy regen by 20%, but it's not really all that noticeable, especially if you have no other energy regen bonuses. You know, if you go from regenning 1 energy a second to 1.2 energy a second, you don't feel it at all, but people think it's really good because the tooltip says 20%, and that looks like a lot of energy. In my opinion, and what seems like the meta is using Puncture. Even though it's a ranged ability, you use your daggers, so it's fast and it kind of like works And then you grab the 2 branch nodes that split it into 3, and then if a target is hit by 2, then they become vulnerable. This is pretty good for bosses. And it's pretty similar with your core abilities, aka the spenders, which you're just going to mindlessly spam as soon as you get them. The ranged ones are insanely slow, janky animations that are just very hard to use. Highly recommend Twisting Blades or Flurry. Flurry is an AoE ability, whereas Twisting Blades is single target until the blades return, so it's kind of hard to use. So I would honestly just recommend spamming Flurry, even though the branch nodes on it suck. Of course, if you're by yourself, you're probably just going to one-shot everything, even if you're on difficulty 2, because the game is just really easy. If you want a real challenge, do what I did and group up with a bunch of people and then split up. That way the mobs have increased health and you actually get to play the game. If you want to be a glass cannon DPS turret and go rapid fire with the improved rapid fire branch node, and then you can just spam it all day against vulnerable targets because of the energy regen. However, this animation is extremely slow and buggy, and if you kill something while you're rapid firing it, you will just rapid fire nothing and shoot no projectiles and be stuck in the animation while stuff hits you. It's really frustrating. Other talents are pretty self-explanatory and they're just kind of additional bonuses, whereas your spenders are kind of the core of your build and they will define the type of rogue that you're playing. Except nobody really uses smoke grenades, caltrops, or cold imbuement, so you're probably going to want to avoid these unless if you're just trying stuff out. And like I said, if you're by yourself, just do whatever you want. You're just going to one-shot everything. While you're leveling, focus on picking a spender that you feel is fun and doesn't make you feel like you're a soldier in the Civil War taking 15 minutes to reload their musket. But anyway, there's a lot more I could go over, but these are the core things that take some time to learn, and now you don't need to because I just told you. Feel free to comment what you like or don't like, or you think feels good or doesn't feel good, because it's all kind of feels craft at this point. Like the video if you like Diablo stuff, and if you don't like Diablo stuff, I don't know why you clicked on the video, so see you later.